I'm Chris Trott and this is Tea Time with Trottie presented by Golf Galaxy. Today I am with legend of the game, Nelly Korda, and we're at
the Concession Golf Club, my home course.
Beautiful. Shall I stripe away as the guest?
Go for it. Ladies first.
I like that. YouTube golf, I best hit a good one.
So you have enough time to maybe hit another one?
100%. I mean, we'll see. I didn't bring many golf balls today, so that's what I like about these golf balls. They generally fly straight, certainly when you hit them.
That's great. We're on a water hole too, so no
All right,
pressure.
chill out. I got enough demons in this mind of mine. So, you get a golf hole like this. What advice would you give me? I know it's not driver. You already told me that, but we're going for it.
Well, you know, you have trees, bunkers on the left, water on the right. So number one goal is hit the fairway. But I mean, when I have typically a hole like this, I try to dial into like a small target. So left side of the green side bunkers. I'll try to hit like a lower kind of bunt driver, something that I know that I will hit straight. I don't love to shape my golf ball. If anything, I like to hit a baby draw.
Yeah.
But you know, with an intimidating hole like this, I'll hit like a lower bunt driver.
Okay. And then I guess a question, as it's the first shot of the series, I wouldn't say I'm excessively nervous, but if you do get some of the tournaments and the stuff you've done in the game, how do you deal with nerves?
I would say, you know, I try to really dial into a small target, focus on my process of the preparation of what I'm about to do, get my mind off of, you know, the mistakes and dial into what I'm trying to do.
So focus on what a good outcome is rather than
the mistakes.
You have the banter and you're like, look, this is this and there's trouble here, but let's think about what a good shot is.
Yeah, and theoretically, I mean, if I had this, if I was playing this hole in a tournament, it is a shorter hole, you know, we're playing it about 370 yards. I wouldn't hit a driver, but I feel like, you know, sometimes when I'm out here practicing, I do like to hit driver because then I really have to dial into a smaller target.
So you're not just hitting driver because I want you to, you actually might do this in play anyway just to...
Correct, yeah, just to, you know, obviously there's sometimes you just have to sack up and you have to hit a driver. You don't want a longer club in, and you do have to kind of thread it through bunkers or thread it through trouble. So yeah, it's a good hole to practice at.
Off that shadow with a bit of fade, we'll see how we go.
Oh, you're going fade off of the left bunker?
I am, but just because, yeah, I'm not the show here, you know what I mean? That's all.
Fade.
I mean, I'm over the button moon with that, Nelly.
If my eyesight was better, I would know where that is, but I lost it.
I mean, I think I'm kind of happy with it.
Okay.
It might be in the trap, but...
How far do you hit your driver?
I actually know exactly that in temperature like this time I reckon I can carry it 270.
Okay, then I think you're over your driver.
Okay, good. I thought you were asking me to sort of have a jibe at me, but you were just saying, no, you've carried the trap, it's all good. Which means it's probably in...
It's in the bushes.
The flight was beautiful, wasn't it?
It was great. I thought you were going to fade it a little bit more than you did. It was more of like a straight.
It was more like a Faldo fall to the right fade. That's what we're dealing with here, the precision. It happens when you club fit the best players in the world. Just watching you guys, it makes you good.
I'm just going to hit my bunty driver. I tend to tee it up a little lower, so it kind of helps me with that flight.
Love it. Okay, a couple of questions I've got for you straight out the gate.
Yes.
Bunty driver is what you said, and you teed it lower. I noticed from my angle, it looked like the ball position was a bit further back. Is that fair?
Yeah, so I actually, with my entire golf game, it's something that I struggle with a little. Just playing more and more, especially in wind, my ball position starts to creep more and more back.
Okay.
But I just don't like it forward. I have always teed up my driver a little bit more middle to front of the stance, and that's just where I'm comfortable. Once I start to tee it up a little bit more forward, where in a sense you get a little bit more height on it, I just start to lose it more left and right. And I just found with the ball position that I have way more accuracy.
You spoke a lot about draw shape.
Yeah.
Even on a hole like this, you still went for a bunty draw.
Yes.
You don't like fading it, or you just try and play that draw?
No, I don't like fading it, and to one reason is when you're under pressure and you have two shots kind of in your toolbox.
Yeah.
you never really, in a sense, know what you're gonna hit.
Yeah.
And I just know that under pressure, I'm going to hit the draw. Like,
Okay.
I can depend on that shot shape.
Yeah. But you have the confidence to stand there and say, well, it doesn't work for me.
Correct.
How would amateurs watching this, me included, who love all the information, how would you be like, how do people overcome that and have the confidence that this is what they do? Because this hole sets up for a fade as well.
Yeah, it does. Correct. I feel like you just got to know your game.
Yeah.
That's number one.
Yeah.
Know your shot shape.
Yeah.
I think that people try to overcomplicate golf. Golf is already complicated enough, and
Love
the key
that.
to it is simplifying it as much as you can. So that's why, when I look at this, I just know that I'm going to set up left side of the green side bunker, and I'm going to kind of try to hit a bunty draw. You're never going to really hit what you want to hit, but the goal in mind is that is what I want to hit. And that's why you kind of dial in on a small target, because you say small target, small miss.
So where I was going to go, you've got a 10.5 driver
Yeah.
in the max, and you've also got a TP5X golf ball. So the ball doesn't spin much. You've got a driver with lots of loft. You like to hit a draw. You've put that bunty one out there for the shot tracer, we can see, with a perfect amount of spin on it for that golf shot.
Yeah.
Did any of that come in? I know you work with Ryan Resser on your golf clubs, and
Yeah.
obviously you check them out on tour all the time. Did all of that come into the equation to have plenty of loft to give you the spin for the golf ball you use?
Yeah, I think it came in with my entire game. I actually was in the TP5 golf ball last year for the first start of the year. And when I was getting fitted for the TaylorMade ball, I was actually fitted into the TP5X. And
Okay.
I don't know what my reasoning was really back then to pick the TP5. I think it was maybe more around the greens. But as I played more and more, I started testing different golf balls, and I just thought the TP5X was the perfect ball for me after, playing the TP5.
How long was that period?
It must have been, I think it was like, I gave it a 7-month period before I
Okay, awesome.
switched. Yeah, so I played both of the golf balls, and after a bit, I just decided, and I wish I switched so much sooner because it did everything I needed
Well, the
to.
results also speak for
Yeah,
themselves.
and then, around the greens, this is where I noticed the main difference between the TP5 and the X for me is I like a check release
Yeah,
on my chip shots.
yeah.
And I was just seeing a little too much release with the TP5 for, my game.
Yeah.
And the X had that shot.
So you're seeing too much release with the 5, and the X
Yes.
would have the check stop. Okay.
Correct. It was weird. I had less spin on my driver, and it was actually going like about 7 yards further, which is a pretty big difference. And then I could control the spin beautifully with my irons, and I had more spin around the greens with the X too.
Wow. That just shows you, I mean, it's individual testing. It's 7 months from the best player in the world to choose what you want to do.
Yeah.
The fitter was right out the gate, so well done, TaylorMade. They were
Yes.
right out the gate. So you went
I
against-
wish I saw them
That's
sooner.
okay. But I think we should cruise down there, take a walk. I've got so many more questions, so we can ask them on the way.
Perfect.
You love the game. You're not out here like purely you're driven by the quality of the golf shot.
Correct. Yeah, and the competition. I love competing day in and day out, like the adrenaline that you feel going down the stretch. Sometimes it's very frustrating, but I think that's what's so great about sports is that, how many emotions it brings out of you and how much, like, at the end of the day, you want to be better because of it.
Yeah. Now, it's a very interesting upbringing that you've had. Well known, obviously, both parents, great tennis stars.
Mm-hmm.
Did that have an input on the competitive nature, or do you think it was more the siblings were good, you were good? Was there an expectation?
Yeah, I think it was very sport oriented in our household. Like,
Yeah.
we watched a lot of sports. We watched a lot of tennis. We watched gymnastics, like just a variety of sports as
Team
well.
sports as well?
Not really. Like, if anything, a bit of hockey, not much soccer, football. So
Well
I don't
done.
really.
Well done, I appreciate that.
I don't know anything about American football either, actually. So a lot of like individual sports, mainly golf and tennis.
Why do you think that was? That it was
Well-
more individual? Because that was the parents'
Yeah,
background. is it?
correct. And for us, like, I guess like that's when you really see the competitiveness in someone. Not saying that like you can't see the competitiveness in a team sport, but
Yeah.
you have teammates to kind of like back you up. And when you watch an individual sport, like you're under such a microscope, like your
Do you prefer
actions.
that?
Yeah, obviously sometimes yes and no. I mean, when I make mistakes, it's just everyone sees the mistake, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like people forget that we're also human beings and that we are going to make mistakes.
Yeah. All right, Nelly, you've got 105 to the flag.
Okay.
Tell me the sort of information, if I'm looping for you, that you would want in addition to that.
I would want, obviously it's kind of on a ridge, so I would want the top of the ridge, what it is long, and it's a bit into the wind, so what you possibly think it's playing, what I need to hit it.
Okay. So you'd want me as the caddy to give you a call as to what I thought it was playing with the breeze?
Yeah, and Jason and I have been together since our second year on tour, so I trust him a lot with all this information. So yeah, we have this is our usual everyday process.
Okay. And then, if I'm looking at this, it's a hair on a down bank. Does that even come into your mind?
Yes, so you usually knock the spin off of the ball.
Okay.
What I do is, that typically makes my shot a little bit lower, so it kind of penetrates through the wind. So that is always something that we talk about, because the mistakes that we used to make is we would discuss the club, we would discuss the wind, but we wouldn't discuss the lie. And then I would sail it long because, you hit it a little lower, you kind of trap it a bit more on a downhill slope, and it would just penetrate through the wind.
So where in your process of analysing the golf shot, where does the lie come into now?
I think that would be number one.
Good, I would agree.
Correct.
100%.
Because then you can pick your shot.
Yes, okay. So really, it's amazing that even you, at the level you've got to, were we just weren't focusing on the lie.
Correct, yeah.
So you had to sit down and address that in the whole conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
I like it.
Yeah.
Wedge setup, you got mill grind 4s there.
Yes, I'm gonna hit my 50 degree.
Is that your first wedge when you get into the mill grind? When you come out the MCs, it goes MC pitching wedge, then 50?
Yeah, and then 54.
How did you make that transition and decision?
I've always had this setup since I was young, so it was just an easy switch for me.
And then what's your next wedge? You go 50?
54, 58.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
So I don't have a 60. I don't like the 60s out of the bunkers, so
okay.
I have a 58.
Okay.
I think it's a little bit more versatile.
Okay, cool. Well, show us some magic here, and then maybe you can give me a lesson, as I've got my hand in my pocket already, so we're off to a great start. Perfect.
So the wind's died down a little, and I have a 50. This club usually goes 115 yards, but my 54 won't make it there, so I'm gonna have to take a bit off of this shot.
Pretty good.
Not bad.
Mill grind 4s
Yeah.
tend to spin a lot, especially when they're brand new.
Mhm.
How do you adjust to that?
I actually like them worn down a little.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
I don't love the rip back
Okay.
on wedges.
Yeah.
I like, land and maybe release one or maybe spin back one.
Yeah.
I like to hit shots that where it lands, it kind of stays.
Yeah.
So I'll wear them down. I don't like putting new wedges in for tournaments because it just doesn't react the way I want it to.
So how often do you change your wedges?
I should probably change them maybe once a year, but I usually tend to like to keep one wedge for the entire year. I just like them a little bit more worn down.
So again, having the confidence in your process, your personal preference.
Correct, and everyone's different, right?
Yeah.
So
So this yardage for me, and obviously I just saw your ball too with the spin. 105 flag. I know what I do, but I just want to get your take on it. I've got my 52 and my 56 here.
Okay.
Max, like 108, but it's going to spin like mad.
Yeah.
So if I would go 52 here for me, how would you address having someone, if you were either playing with someone and they're a playing partner, or you're trying to help an amateur, how would you talk about trying to take some spin off?
So
And take distance off too.
So the harder you hit it, the more spin you're gonna put on it. So that's one of the reasons why I don't hit my shots super hard, because I don't like the spin back. I'd rather actually club up and control my shots always. So if you're gonna go with the 52 versus the 58 or 56, you said,
yeah.
I think you're already making the better call there, because with the 56, you're gonna have to hit it harder. So especially being into the wind, that's gonna force way more spin on it.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go straight at this then. Let's see what we can do. I'm not going any flag six there.
I feel like everyone's so scared about making mistakes that they just start to stiffen up, right?
100%.
So
and it
okay
just gets worse
mistakes.
and worse the less you play. Okay, it's okay to make mistakes. You heard her. Here we go. Into this bad boy. I think it's okay. It's right, it's short, and it's spun.
Spun a lot.
Spun a lot.
Oh my gosh.
Look at this. We might even be chipping. Can you believe it? Right, let's chip because it works for the video. I can't believe that was actually playing a long way. I didn't hit that bad.
Yeah, the air is pretty heavy.
Thanks for that. You can give me the rundown of how we chip it from there. Right, Nelly, you've kindly dragged your golf ball off the front edge as well to show me how...
Yep, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. How we would play this golf shot. A little bit of an upslope there, right? And then an upslope here, but talk to me.
The pin is on a bit of a ridge, so, you know, there's 2 shots that you can hit. Your percentage play will probably be a bump and run to get it closer. If you're feeling risky, then you could try flying it up there, but in a sense, that's kind of stupid. So I have a 50 degree right now, and I'm gonna just play a bump and run.
Do you want me to tell you what everyone watching this is thinking except for you?
What?
Florida grass upslope.
Putter.
Yeah.
Give me the putter.
So talk to me about how do we, and you've already just scooched the ground perfectly.
Yeah.
I love it. You got loads of talent. There's nothing coming in your mind, so I don't want to fill you with junk. I hate that. But tell us a little bit about how we can control the low point and just play a great shot off an upslope.
On Bermuda grass, you're trying to use the bounce of the club. You don't want to use the leading edge at all, because that with the grain is just going to dig straight into the ground.
So give us a little definition of bounce and what you believe it to be.
Right here.
So the ridge between the leading edge and the trail edge. And then all these different bounces are available to folks at Golf Galaxy when they're going in and buying their wedges. How do they choose which bounce they should get? How do you choose which bounce you should get?
I mean, I think that's all based on the numbers when you get fit by the fitter. That's why you kind of go in and you get fitted, right? So you know what set is perfect for you.
Okay, you a spot chipper or just a cruise chipper?
It depends. You know, if I'm comfortable on these greens, then I see it and I hit it. Obviously, you know, I'm a little bit more picky with when I'm playing an actual tournament. Like I'll walk it off and I'll kind of pick where I want to, but sometimes I'll change over the ball. Like, so for me, I'm very visual.
And slope like this, do you get any lean going or?
Always. I mean, you always want your majority of your weight on your front foot.
Sweet.
You don't kind of want it on the back, because I feel like that's, you start to sway a little bit more. With chipping, you got to stay in one position through. The way you start the shot is the way you should be at impact.
Okay, good. Simple stuff, I love it.
Yeah, so I'm just going to put it a little bit back in my stance, narrow, have a 50 degree so it should run up. Use a bit of my leading edge, but that's kind of given it being a little on an uphill slope.
Just keep rotating, right?
Yep.
That's the main thing. Try not to have too many negative thoughts and just...
Go.
I mean, I'm left with a knee locker. That's the difference between being a club fitter and being a tour player right there. All right, we'll hole out and we'll move on.
Perfect.
All right, Nelly, learnt a lot there already on the first episode. Be sure to get into episode 2. That's Tea Time with Trottie, presented by Golf Galaxy.